So crafting a unique user experience is not an easy task, especially if you are not good with animations. Up until now, people were hiring experts who were good with Adobe After Effects, because that was the #1 software for creating various kind of animations. Even Lottie animations were created using that same software. But not anymore, because now Lottie has released its own platform where everyone can build animations of any kind. From simple micro interactions with basic shapes to more complex examples for various use cases. This platform is as simple as it can be. There is an easy learning curve if you are already familiar with softwares like Figma, for example. Without further ado, let me show you how you can create your own animations from scratch. Right, so we're going to start off by visiting the LottieLab website. So once you're there, you're going to see here an examples page which we can open up. And there you can see a bunch of different animations that were created using this same website or this web application. So as you can see, there are many different beautiful animations. Some of them are simpler, some of them are more complex, but nevertheless, the most important thing here is that all those animations were created by this platform. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can also create your own custom animations using this same application. So the first thing that you need to do is to go to this website and open up the login page, right? So let's go there. I have already created one example for the demonstration purpose, and we're going to try to replicate this same animation once again. As you can see, this is how that animation looks like. So we have a simple circle which expands and formulates the checkmark icon out of that. Plus, after that animation completes, we're going to see here one circle around that checkmark and 3 different stars. So this animation can be used, for example, after your customer successfully purchased an item in your app. So there are different kind of use cases and examples that you can implement this animation to. Anyhow, you also have some different tutorials that you can check from this website, but for now we will create here a new file. So let's do that. Let's create here the new file, and we're going to start off from scratch. So the first thing you will see here is one very simple and beautiful user interface. So on the right side here we have the properties panel where we can modify some different values about the elements that we select here on our artboard. On the center, of course, we have our artboard. On the left side we have the panel where we can see all our layers within this artboard. So for now we have no layers, but later when we add some of those elements you will see them appearing right here. On the top left corner we have some tools like move tool, scale tool, hand tool. We have a rectangle, ellipse, star, polygon and artboard. We have a pen, text and an option to import some custom assets. On the bottom we have our timeline, so this timeline will actually become visible when we select this animate option and we toggle this button, right? So now we have our timeline, which we can of course expand. And as soon as we select this artboard, we will see here the actual animation duration that we have already selected. In this case it's 3 seconds, but of course we can modify that and reduce even more. We can select the file size. For example, I'm going to choose here for now 512 by 512. That will be the size of our current artboard. Okay, here we also have on the top an option to export or share our file. I'm going to show you that at the end. What we're going to do, we're going to start off by creating here a simple element or a simple shape. So that shape for now will be a ellipse. Let's select here ellipse and let's create one. So as you can see, when we click and drag, this ellipse will move around, but we can hold the shift button or a shift key on our keyboard to make this ellipse a perfect circle, right? There we go. So just drag and drop that right here. We can use a shortcut command and just move our mouse wheel to actually zoom in here. The shortcut for moving around this canvas is a space. So just hold a space, this cursor will change, and then we can just click and drag around this canvas. Also, we can just press command and just move our mouse wheel to zoom in or zoom out, so it's quite convenient. The zoom will follow our cursor, there we go. Okay, so the next thing, let's select this little circle. And I'm going to show you or demonstrate first how this animation will work. Let me just here set a size, the initial size of this circle to be 20. we can also check this option constrain proportions so that we can actually apply the same value to both the width and height. Let me first here set it to 20 as well. Okay, so now we can constrain that. So this is how this animation will work, right? Our circle will start from the top, somewhere around here. And then it will circle around from the right side, something like this, all the way until we reach a destination somewhere around here. Then this circle will expand in a width and height. It will increase its size to maybe around 60 pixels, and then it will start slowly morphing into a different shape, which will be some kind of a rectangular shape that will represent the first part of the checkmark icon. And then we're going to create the new circle, which will also expand on a different side and act as a second element of this same checkmark icon. Then after that, we're going to also create a couple of more elements. Let me just here for a moment open up the LottieLab. Let me just open up that previous animation that I have talked about earlier. So this is how that animation will look like, right? So our circle will start from the top. It will animate from the right side to the left side. It will expand around there, right? So we're going to create here basically the checkmark icon out of that circle. And of course, at the end, we will see that a bigger circle along with the 3 star icons. So it's pretty simple, right? Let's now move back. And now we come to the question, how can we actually move this this little circle all the way here, right? So how can we do that? Well, I'm going to show you one little trick here, and that is by creating another circle. So I'm going to just select this circle already and press Command plus D to duplicate this layer in our panel here. Now this second one, or this actually can be behind this one, so it will be behind this this first one. Let me just place that here in the center. We can hold down Option and the Shift and just drag this to create a perfect circle from the center, somewhere around here. Okay. After that, we're going to also mark this circle, for example, as a black color so that we can actually see this first one. And then we're going to create here a group. So let's select both of those elements. We can also hold down the Shift and select both of them. And now we can press the shortcut to group them together into one group or into one layer. So let's press Command plus G. That's the shortcut for grouping those elements. One great thing to know here is that those shortcuts are pretty much the same as the ones that we are using in Figma. So if you're proficient with Figma, you don't need to worry because here we're basically using the same shortcuts as with that design tool, right? So the way we're going to animate this little circle circling around this artboard is by rotating this whole group, right? So when we rotate this group, as you can see, that's how our little circle will start moving to that same position that we are searching for, right? Now, let's press here Command plus Z to undo the action that we have just did. Anyhow, let's also click this little drop-down arrow to see all our layers within this group. And this second layer will have the opacity of 0. So basically this second circle will not be visible, and that's the whole point. So this bigger circle in our group layer will just act as a reference so that we can properly rotate this circle around this artboard, okay? Alright, so the next thing I think that we can start animating. Let me first change the color of this little circle to maybe some green color, which will fit our animation even better, maybe like this one. Okay, or maybe even some kind of darker gray or darker green actually. There we go. And after that we can switch to our animate mode, right? And in this animate mode we can do whatever we want. So first I'm going to select our group layer. So now after we select our whole group layer, I'm going to move this little button on the timeline to around 300 milliseconds or 0.3 seconds, right? So at that time, I want to rotate this this actual group layer somewhere around here. So I just hold here Shift to rotate this icon, for example, right there. So that will be the first animation. And if you see, let me just here move this timeline a little bit down below. There we go. And now we can play this animation by triggering this play icon. Let's just move that right here. There we go. So basically our little circle has moved from the top to the right side by using that rotation animation on our bigger circle, or on this little group that we have created out of those two layers. Now, what we could also do is to actually now increase the actual animation duration to, let's say, 0.9, right? And at that timeline, I'm going to also now rotate this whole thing all the way here, okay? So that's how we're going to create this animation. As you can see, let's click play. So that's how this icon will animate all the way here. So from 0 to 0.9 seconds. And of course now, if we click this button right here, you will see that we have a linear easing. And when we click on that linear easing, you will see here a new tab. And from there, of course, we can modify and choose some other different easings. For example, we have a linear, we have a natural, we have a slow down, accelerate, bounce in, we have bounce out, and we have a hold, which is basically just switching between the A and the B in our animation. So for this case, I will choose maybe even a natural one, so that it can look like a natural animation. There we go. So after that, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to select here also this same circle, so this shape within this group. I'm going to now from here increase its size to maybe, let's say, a 60. So let's add here the 60 in width and height. And as you can see now, our animation will change. So not only that our animation will start animating its position, it will also start animating its size, okay? So it will start with a size of a 20, and it will end with a size of a 60. Great. So after that, what we can do here, we can create or actually expand this shape to have a little bit more width. Now here we have done one common mistake. So instead of using the rectangular shape, we have used the circle shape. And we cannot create the appropriate shape with this, so we have to replace it with another one. So let's go back now right here. Right there. And I'm going to create here the one a rectangular shape. So let's create here one rectangle shape with a size of a 20. Let's constrain that. There we go. I'm going to now zoom in and place that right here in the same place. Only in this case, we can just specify here the corner radius to 99. Now let's increase here or specify the color to be green. We can place this inside this group shape, and we can remove that first one. So the first yellow can be now removed. There we go. And now the animation will basically look the same as before. It will just move right there, and from there we can now increase the size to 60 like before. There we go. The radius will also be a maximum, in this case 30. So there we go. This is how our animation will look like. Perfect. After that, what we can do, we can now expand this second shape or this little circle. But if we try to expand now, for example, to maybe 0.20, if we now try to do something like this, you will see that this whole animation will look something like that. Okay, so it looks very nice. However, I also want to make here one more animation. So I want to rotate this whole thing a little bit more. For example, something like that. And I want to reduce this actual height to maybe 230. So right there. Let me just here unconstrain that. So 230. There we go. So the animation will now look something like that. Okay. All right. So after that, I want to create here a new circle or this new rectangle. So let's just press here Command plus D, the layer number 4. And on this layer, I'm going to remove all those animations, right? So we don't need anything from here. Let's just move this starting point of this fourth element right here at the end of our animation, and its position will be somewhere here. Let me just here for a moment change the color so that I can actually see where exactly I'm placing this this layer number 4. So right there, perfect. So the starting point or the start of the animation of this layer number 4 will be at 1.2 seconds when we complete this animation so far. Okay, let's now change back its color to its original one. And from there, let me just here select number 4, this shape. And from here, I'm going to now apply a new animation. For example, from 0.2 seconds to 0.5, let's say. And from here, 0.5, I'm going to now set its actual, let's see, width. Okay, so let's now increase its width to somewhere around here. Okay. Now, as you can see here, we are also doing a little bit of a rotation animation, which we can of course change that. Let's just go back to the 1.2 seconds, select the number 4 shape, and from the starting point, we also want to set here this rotation to be straight to 315 degree at this point. Okay, and now that rotation animation will not be visible, so only the increase of its width will animate, right? There we go. So now let's play the whole animation once again. Click play button. Okay, so initially this shape number 4 will have a 0 opacity, right? So only after we reach this position, only then we want to change this opacity to 100%. So now what we can do, we can just here select the layer number 4, and just before we start this animation, around 1.19. So right there, I want to apply here the animation of 0, and only then 100, right? So that's when this shape number 4 will become visible, just right before we actually expand this second layer, okay? And now when we go back, this is how that animation will look like. So there we go. Okay, it looks perfect. One thing that we can also do here is now move this whole animation. So now we can move this layer number 4 and 3 maybe. Yeah, we can move them on the center somewhere, like for example here. And this is how now that animation will look like. What we can do here to improve this animation is change the easing. So for example, when we are expanding this checkmark icon, we can choose, instead of linear, we can choose, for example, bounce in, and here as well. So let's choose bounce in. And now let's see what kind of effect we're going to get. Okay, so it's a little better than before. Let's see, so right there, it's okay. Of course, we could modify, for example, the position of this shape number 3 to be a little bit closer than before. For example, maybe somewhere here. Let me just here try to move that right there. Okay, so now we have moved the trajectory of this circle before it gets expanded, right? So it's kind of a better effect, but of course it's up to you how you can create your animation. So let's here play it again. Okay, so now it looks even better than before. There you go. And finally, so after 1.5 seconds, what we can do, we can also add another shape, like for example another circle. I'm going to copy this shape number 2, which is that hidden circle. So let's click here Command plus D to duplicate that, right? And of course I'm going to now change its opacity to be 100%. So let's just here add 100%. Its color will be green. So as you can see, our layer number 5 is that second bigger circle, which we want to of course animate now. However, its initial position or its initial color will be color green with a 0 opacity. So let's just here specify green with a 0 opacity, okay. And I'm going to now increase this end animation to maybe 1. Let's say 70. And the start of this animation will be when this checkmark animation ends. So right there. So from 0% to maybe 5%, okay? So like that. So from 0 to 5. Okay. There we go. So let's try it once again. We can even increase this actual duration to be maybe to 1.9. Somewhere around that. There we go. And what we can do here also, we can now add a couple of more elements, like for example the star. Let's hold down the shift here, create the star with a size of maybe 80 in a width and a height, in both width and height. The color can be maybe some kind of a purple, like this one. The ratio of this star can be maybe 50% to look something like that. Place it right here. I'm going to press here Ctrl plus D to duplicate this same star. I'm going to now change only the size to 60. Press Ctrl plus D once again to duplicate that once more, right there, with the same size. Okay. Let's go to the animate mode. In the animate mode, we can now see what kind of effect we want to get. So by default, those stars will not be visible. So we have number 6, number 7, and let's see. So number 1, number 6, and number 7. Okay. So the initial size of those stars will be 0, right? So 0 in both width and height. Let's select this one as well, so 0. And this one as well, so 0. Those are the initial values. So the initial values actually 0. And this one 0. And now, so number 1, this animation will start right from maybe, let's say, from 1.7 to 2.1. So there you go. That's when this actual star will increase its size. So let's here switch to the end position of this animation. Set here the size to 80 in both width and height. I always forget to constrain this actual proportion. So there we go. So that's how it will work. From 0 to 80, like that. And we can add here, for example, a bounce in animation, right? So let's do that. There we go. It looks very nice, right? So now what we need to do, we need to animate also those other different stars. So let me just here click this drop down icon so we can see other different layers. And we can increase this layer as well. Okay, there we go. Now let's select here this layer number 6. This is number 1, this is number 6. Let me just here move that, for example, to 2.1. And the starting of this one can be... So now we can also animate this second star. Let's move this to 1.7. This will be a starting position, and the end position will be around here. So the size will now increase to, let's say, maybe 60 in both width and height. There we go. And the third star, number 7. So the end position will be 2.10 or something like that. And the starting position will be 1.7 seconds. The starting size will be 0, and the end size will be maybe even the same, so 60 in both the width and height. There we go. And now we will see all those 3 different stars. As you can see when we play the animation. There we go. So it looks much better than the first one. Okay, we can now even maybe change the easing of those star animations to bounce in. So this layer number 6, bounce in, and the layer number 1, bounce in as well. So let me see number 1, number 6, and number 7. All are bounce in easing. all of those 3 layers have a bounce in easing, okay? So now let's try that out. Let's play the animation. There we go. So the last thing which we can do is to reduce the whole animation duration. So as you can see, when I select here this artboard or this canvas actually, you will see that a default animation of this file is 3 seconds. However, I'm going to reduce that to maybe 2.2. 2.2, right? Okay, so now our animation looks much better. There we go. So this is just an example of how you can create a simple animation. Of course, you can create a much more complex use cases than this one. This is just one small example. Anyhow, you have seen how easy it is to actually drag and drop different elements, how you can transform them into different shapes, into different angles, into different positions. You have seen one little trick that I have used to actually rotate this inner circle around this artboard. So by using some kind of hidden circle which is shown on the whole artboard, as you can see, it's quite a little trick that can be useful. And there we go. So we have created one checkmark animation by ourselves from scratch without using Adobe After Effects or any other softwares. We're using the LottieLab, which is basically a free web application that you can use. And at the end, after you create this whole animation, you can just click this export button. You can choose JSON URL. Let me just see. So download Lottie. Okay, so right here. And you can click this button to download this Lottie JSON file, which we can then use and basically display this whole animation on both mobile devices or even a web. So it's that simple. If you have any questions about the things that we have done in this video, feel free to comment down below. Other than that, be sure to check this website and start creating your animations by yourself. One last tip that I want to give you is that creating those animations is much easier if you already have a design project. So before you actually start creating this animation, you need to design how this animation will work. And for that matter, I recommend using tools like Figma to actually create this whole animation in your design file, and only then you can see and actually imagine how this animation will work. So basically, I have now created this animation completely blind. Right, so I have started with one shape, and I have made my decisions along the way, which is not actually correct. So first, you should design how your animation will look like in design tools like Figma. And why is that important? Well, that way you can inspect and see exactly the size of your actual checkmark animation, the size of those stars and other different elements, and you can make that design perfect before even you start creating that animation. So if you don't want to waste your time, it's much smarter to first design how this animation will look like in Figma and then start implementing that same animation using the LottieLab. So there we go, that's all I wanted to share with you in this video. Be sure to like this video if you find it helpful, and thank you for watching.